You've got 60 seconds. The news just confirmed what the screaming outside already told you. Something's wrong, people are attacking, and whatever's happening is spreading fast. Your phone's blowing up with conflicting information. Your neighbor just sprinted past your window with blood on his shirt. The question isn't whether you need a weapon. The question is, what the hell do you grab? Most people immediately think baseball bat. Some of you are thinking kitchen knife. The tactical nerds are mentally cataloging their decorative katana collection. Here's the thing, you're all wrong, and that overconfidence is going to get you killed in the first 10 minutes. A study on blunt force trauma effectiveness found that most improvised weapons fail within the first 3 impacts due to structural compromise or user fatigue. You don't have time to test your swing. You don't have a training montage. You have 60 seconds to make a choice that determines whether you're breathing tomorrow. Here's what separates people who make it past hour 1 from people who become a statistic with a surprised expression. If you're serious about tactical survival analysis and you're tired of fantasy bullshit, hit that subscribe button and bell icon. We're the channel that tells you what actually works when the comfortable lies stop working. Let's establish parameters, because context matters. We're talking impact weapons, blunt force trauma delivery systems you can grab without a key, a combination, or a background check. Firearms are either locked up, unloaded, or you don't own them. Doesn't matter why. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're visiting family. Maybe you live in a jurisdiction where ownership requires more paperwork than most people have patience for. The reality is, most people, in most places, at most times, don't have immediate access to a loaded firearm. So we're working with what's actually available in the 60 seconds between something's wrong and something's in your house. The criteria for selection is brutal and simple. First, accessibility. Can you reach it in under 60 seconds from wherever you are right now? Second, immediate usability. No assembly required, no learning curve, no wondering which end does the damage. Third, structural integrity. Will it survive repeated impacts against bone without breaking, bending, or becoming useless? Fourth, weight to effectiveness ratio. Can you swing it more than twice without your arms turning to jelly? And fifth, psychological impact. Does it make the thing coming at you hesitate even for a second? Here's what most people don't realize about melee combat in a genuine survival scenario. You're not an action hero. You don't have superhuman strength. Your adrenaline will spike. Your fine motor skills will collapse, and that perfect swing you're imagining will turn into a desperate flailing motion that leaves you off balance and exposed. The weapon needs to compensate for your lack of experience, your deteriorating technique, and the fact that fear makes you sloppy. Number 1, the crowbar. Specifically, the 18 to 24-inch pry bar you've got in your trunk, your garage, or your maintenance closet. This isn't sexy, this isn't what you see in movies, but it's what works, and here's why. The crowbar is a force multiplier designed for leverage. The curved end concentrates impact force into a small surface area, which means even a weak swing delivers significant trauma. It's steel, so it doesn't break. It doesn't bend unless you're hitting something harder than bone, and you're not. The weight, 3 to 5 pounds depending on size, is distributed along the length, which means your swing maintains momentum without requiring constant muscle engagement. You're not powering through each strike. Physics is doing half the work. The tactical advantage is multifunctional utility. You can pry open doors. You can break windows without risking your hands. You can create defensive barricades. And if you need to create distance, the reach extends your effective range beyond arm's length. The hooked end can catch limbs, throats, clothing, anything that gets close enough to be a threat but not close enough to grapple. Common mistake. People grip too close to the striking end, thinking it gives them better control. Wrong. Grip at the base. Use the full length. The leverage is what makes this effective. Short gripping a crowbar turns it into an awkward metal club. Full-length grip turns it into a precision trauma instrument. Limitation, it's loud. Every impact rings like a bell. In a scenario where noise attracts attention, every swing is a dinner announcement. But if your choice is between staying quiet and staying alive, the answer is obvious. Number 2, the fire extinguisher. Not the tiny 5-pound kitchen unit. The full-size 10 to 20-pound commercial extinguisher that's mounted in your hallway, your office building, your apartment complex. This is the weapon nobody thinks about because it's not designed to hurt people. That's exactly why it's brilliant. The weight alone, 10 to 20 pounds of compressed metal cylinder, makes it a devastating impact weapon. One overhead swing to the skull and you've delivered enough force to cause instant incapacitation. But the real advantage isn't the weight, it's the discharge capability. Pull the pin, aim at face level, squeeze the handle. You've just created a visual barrier, a breathing obstruction, and a psychological disruption all in one action. The chemical discharge, whether it's CO2, dry powder or foam, blinds, chokes and confuses. You don't need to aim perfectly. You just need to create a cloud between you and the threat. Then, while they're stumbling and gasping, you swing the now lighter cylinder at whatever part of their anatomy is still visible. The psychological impact is underrated. Fire extinguishers have social programming attached. We associate them with safety, with authority, with emergency response. When you're holding one with intent to harm, it creates cognitive dissonance in the threat's brain. That half second of "wait, what?" is your tactical window. Common mistake: using the discharge first and forgetting you've only got 10 to 15 seconds of spray. People panic spray until empty, then realize they're holding a lighter blunt object with an awkward grip. Spray in controlled bursts. 2 seconds, reassess, 2 seconds, swing. Don't commit to full discharge unless you're certain it's ending the engagement. Limitation: it's cumbersome. Maneuvering in tight spaces with a 2-foot cylinder is awkward, and once it's discharged, you've reduced its weight advantage. It's still useful, but it's no longer optimal. Number 3, the entrenching tool. The small military-style folding shovel that's in your camping gear, your emergency kit, or your survivalist neighbor's garage that you're absolutely going to borrow without asking. This is the dark horse of impact weapons. It's designed to dig, which means it's designed for repetitive, forceful motion without structural failure. The blade edge, even when dull, concentrates force into a linear surface that's more effective than a club. And unlike a knife, you don't need precision, you just need to connect. The tactical advantage is combat-proven. Military forces have used entrenching tools in close-quarters combat for over a century because they work. The weight, 2 to 3 pounds, is light enough for rapid strikes but heavy enough to deliver trauma. The handle length, typically 10 to 15 inches when folded, gives you enough reach to maintain distance without sacrificing control. The real genius is the right angle configuration. When locked at 90 degrees, you've got a pickaxe motion available. Overhead swings deliver the blade edge, horizontal swings deliver the flat of the blade, upward strikes deliver the corner of the blade. 3 different attack vectors from one weapon. And because it's small, you can use it in confined spaces where a bat or crowbar would get caught on walls. Furniture, door frames. Common mistake: trying to use it like a hatchet with big overhead chops. The handle's too short for optimal overhead leverage. Use it like a pick. Short controlled strikes targeting joints, collarbones, skulls. You're not chopping wood, you're breaking structure. Limitation: reach. You've got maybe 18 inches of total weapon length. Anything with longer arms than you is operating in your threat range before you're operating in theirs. This is a weapon for defending choke points and confined spaces, not open areas. Number 4, the heavy-duty flashlight. Specifically, the 2 to 4 cell D battery metal flashlight that's been living in your trunk, your nightstand or your utility drawer since before LED technology made them obsolete. This is psychological warfare disguised as illumination equipment. The weight, 1 to 2 pounds depending on battery count, is concentrated in a 12 to 16-inch cylinder with a striking crown at the end. That crown, designed for breaking car windows in emergencies, is equally effective at breaking facial bones. The tactical advantage is dual functionality. Turn it on, and you've got temporary vision disruption against anyone looking at you. Shine it directly in eyes, and you've created a 2 to 3 second window where their pupils are contracting and their vision is compromised. That's your window. You don't swing wild. You thrust the crown into throat, solar plexus, temple, whatever target presents itself while they're blinking away the spots. The grip is intuitive. You already know how to hold a flashlight. Under stress, When fine motor skills collapse, you default to familiar grips. Your muscle memory isn't fighting your panic, and the length allows for both one-handed and two-handed grips depending on situation. Close quarters, one hand. Need more force? Two hands at the base, baseball bat style. The psychological element is the civilian camouflage. You're holding a flashlight. You're not holding a weapon. Right up until the moment you pivot from illumination to incapacitation. You look like someone trying to see, not someone preparing to hurt. That misread buys you initiative. Common mistake, thinking the light is the weapon instead of understanding the light is the setup for the weapon. People shine and expect threats to retreat. Some will, most won't. The light creates the tactical window. The strike ends the engagement. Don't confuse illumination with victory. Limitation, battery dependency. Without power, you're swinging a moderately weighted metal tube. It still works, but you've lost half the tactical advantage. And if you're using the light constantly to navigate, you're draining the batteries that power your tactical edge. Number 5. The tire iron. Specifically, the cross-pattern lug wrench that's in your trunk under the spare tire. Not the L-shaped cheap one. The cross. This is the weapon of last resort that's actually a weapon of first opportunity. The cross configuration gives you 4 striking surfaces, which means 4 chances to connect before repositioning. Each arm is 10 to 14 inches long, making the total diagonal reach 20 to 28 inches. That's baseball bat range without the structural weakness of wood or aluminum. The tactical advantage is the grip versatility. Hold it by one arm, and you've got 3 striking ends available in rapid succession. Hold it by the center hub, and you've got a knuckle duster with extended reach. The metal is hardened steel designed to withstand the torque of loosening frozen lug nuts. It's not bending, it's not breaking, it's delivering blunt force trauma until either you stop swinging or the threat stops moving. The weight distribution is what makes this effective despite awkward appearance. Each arm weighs maybe half a pound, which doesn't sound like much until you realize you're swinging a 2-pound steel cross at face level. The momentum carries through impact because the weight is distributed away from the grip point. You're not fighting the weapon's balance. The weapon wants to swing. Common mistake trying to use it like a traditional club with overhead swings. The cross pattern makes overhead strikes awkward because you've got 3 arms of metal flailing around your grip point. Use horizontal strikes, side swings targeting ribs, knees, shoulders, or use thrusting motions, driving one arm point first into throat, gut, sternum. The real limitation is social availability. If you don't own a car, or if you've got one of those modern foam insert tire kits instead of a real spare, you don't have this option. It's location dependent. But if you're near a vehicle, any vehicle, there's a 70% chance there's a lug wrench within 60 seconds of where you're standing. Here's the reality nobody wants to hear. Melee combat is exhausting. The average person can maintain effective swinging motion for maybe 30 seconds before muscle fatigue compromises technique. After that, you're holding a weight that's actively working against your survival. Your arms burn, your grip weakens, your swings get shorter, slower, less effective. This is why weapon choice matters. You're not choosing based on maximum damage potential, you're choosing based on sustained effectiveness under deteriorating conditions. The crowbar maintains effectiveness even when your arms are shaking because leverage does the work. The fire extinguisher gives you a spray option when you can't swing anymore. The entrenching tool is light enough to use when everything else feels like lifting a car. The flashlight serves double duty, so you're not relying purely on physical force. The tire iron's distributed weight means momentum carries strikes even when you're running on fumes. The practical advice is simple. You grab what's closest that meets the criteria. You don't sprint across your house looking for the perfect weapon while something's breaking through your front door. You grab what's in reach, you position yourself in a defensible location, and you understand that the weapon is only as good as your willingness to use it without hesitation. Your survival rating with any of these weapons in a genuine outbreak scenario, maybe 6 out of 10 for the first hour. The weapon gives you an edge. It doesn't give you immunity. You're still human, you still tire, you still make mistakes. But 6 out of 10 is significantly better than the 2 out of 10 you're looking at empty-handed, and in a scenario where most people are dead by hour 3. That 4-point margin is the difference between breathing and becoming another statistic. The things that will kill you aren't the lack of a weapon. They're the hesitation, the false confidence, the belief that having something in your hands makes you invincible. The weapon is a tool, you're the variable. And if you don't understand that distinction before you're in the scenario, you're already behind. All right, your turn. You've got 60 seconds right now. Stand up from wherever you're sitting and actually walk the route to the nearest impact weapon that fits these criteria. Time yourself. Can you actually reach it in under a minute? Is it accessible or is it buried under boxes, locked behind something out of reach? And here's the harder question. Could you actually use it? Not in theory, not in your imagination where you're always fast and strong and decisive. In reality, when your hands are shaking and your brain is screaming contradictory instructions and you've never hit anything harder than a punching bag at Planet Fitness, could you swing that crowbar into something that used to be a person? Could you discharge that fire extinguisher into someone's face and then finish them while they're choking? Because that's the real test, not whether you have access, whether you have commitment. Drop your honest assessment in the comments. No plot armor, no fantasy skills. Just the truth about whether you've actually thought this through or whether you've been coasting on confidence that won't survive first contact with reality. We're the channel that gives you tactical analysis without the comfortable lies. Subscribe if you want more reality checks that might actually keep you breathing when the comfortable world stops being comfortable. Hit that bell icon because we drop new survival analysis every week and the algorithm doesn't care about your preparedness. Remember, the best weapon is the one you can reach, use, and sustain. Everything else is just fantasy. Stay sharp.